Welcome back YouTube, my name is Chris and we are going to continue our series on a Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game. First episode we did a little bit of diving into, some monster cards. Again, all this stuff is going to start making more sense as I start introducing more elements, and eventually once we get into setups and dueling and getting all that good stuff in as examples. So for this video we are going to go over magic cards, also known as spell cards, since in the late 90s, a little controversy between them and Magic the Gathering happened. So most of the original cards that would say Magic cards were reprinted and labeled spell cards. And I'm going to show you, let's see, what should we start off with? We're going to start off with a normal spell card, which the two I have three I have right here are Exchange, Magical Mallet, and Confiscation, for those who watch the GX anime. So normal spells obviously are just spell cards. They are activated and then destroyed. So you'll see a spell card underneath. You'll see the beautiful artwork. Some of these cards, like they're rares, ultra rares, secret rares, like their holos are really epic. And what I like is that they haven't really changed much since the original game. Whereas, again, like I was saying in last video about Pokemon, is that like after I think 2000 or 2000, I think it was after like 2002, the cards started changing, and like now, like you can open a pack and just not know what the hell or where to look at. So for a spell card, it only has one activation, one ability, unless it labels more than one, and in that case you can do as the card directs. This one says each player looks at their opponent's hand, chooses one card in it, and adds it to their own. So you pretty much are forcing, your opponent to give them one of their cards. Magical Mallet. Shuffle any number of cards from your hand into the deck, then draw the same number of cards, which later on you'll realize does not include this card. So you cannot use this card as one of the cards being put back into the deck. Again, we have, magic card. So this is part of one of the originals, maybe. Some of my cards are a little banged up because I haven't used them, or because I just got them from random people. So Confiscation, some of them actually have abilities where you need to pay to use them, or you need to sacrifice something. So this one is pay 1,000 life points, look at your opponent's hand, select one card, and discard it to the graveyard. There are some magic cards that actually can negate this effect, so you don't have to pay. It's in one of my favorite magician decks, and what the magic card pretty much does is any magic card that requires you to use life points to activate it, you don't have to use your life points. So those are some normal spell cards. I keep wanting to say magic because that's what they were, but again, the controversy. So next, let's go over field spells, because those are pretty much the next ones that kind of help you on your map. So for the field spells, we have pt2 Waterfront and Chorus of Sanctuary. I just chose these because they're pretty much, one's like simple and one has like different abilities. So it's kind of like an example. So again, you can see spell card. Now field cards have like this cool little like shuriken type symbol, which I think is pretty cool, but that represents the field spell. So for this one, it increases the defense of all defense position monsters by 500 points. This one, of course, you can see there's a lot of print, but it says each time a card is sent from the field to the graveyard, place one kaiju counter on this card for each sent card, maximum 5. Once per turn, while 3 or more kaiju counters are on this card, you can add one kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. If this card would be destroyed, you can remove one kaiju counter from this card instead. So this field spell can actually negate its destruction if it has the counter. So again, there's one where it kind of has like a lot of things you can do with it, and this one where it's pretty much just specific to a specific type of monster or position, etc. So those are field spells. So the next one I think we'll go over is continuous spells. For continuous spells, we have, again, I chose Temple of the Kings and the Mask of Despair. Now, these two, obviously, again, have two kind of like completely different effects. We have, again, the Temple of the Kings. It's a spell card, whereas this one says magic. And again, there's no difference. They're both spell cards. You see the little infinite sign, which means continuous. Continuous spells sometimes need a certain condition on the field, or it activates a condition. So if you activate Temple of the Kings, this is actually for a monster card that you have, or that you will have in your deck if you use it. The controller of this card can activate trap cards the same turn they are set. If you control a mystical beast of circuit, and this card, you can send both to the graveyard to special summon one monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck. So again, this is a continuous one. It stays on the field, and like it says, during one of your turns, these abilities can activate. So now you have Mask of Dispel, which is more against your opponent. So it reads, for example, select one face-up magic card on the field. So if your opponent also has like a face-up magic card on their side of the field, the control of the magic card must take damage of 500 life points during each of his or her standby phases. We'll get into the phases when we get into dueling. When the selected card is destroyed or removed from the field, this card is also destroyed. So eventually, if that card's taken off the field, so is this. Why is this going? Keeps on going like from blurry to blurrier. So next, we'll do equip spells. So as you can see on the bottom row, the equip spell that I chose was Black Pendant. Black Pendant has its own symbol, which is like a kind of like, I don't want to say a cross, but it's like an X, a vertical X. And each equip card has its own, unique ability. So this one is a monster equipped with this card. Its attack is increased by 500 points. So when the card is sent from the field to the graveyard, inflict 500 points of direct damage to your opponent's life points. So this is actually a good card to have because, whoever destroys your monster wearing this will take 500 points of damage at the end of the battle, at the end of the damage step. So, again, equip cards aren't really that complicated. They're pretty, straightforward. It's an equip card. So whatever you equip, it's going to have an ability of some type. The second to last that we have is quick play spells. Quick play spells are tricky. They can be activated from your hand during the turn. They can be activated on the field face down if you put it face down on the field. But you cannot activate it if you set it that turn. So if you set it on the field that turn and you find a way that you actually could use it, you gotta wait till next turn. So quick play spells. On the bottom we have Spells Shattering Arrow and Ego Boost. So let's grab these. So as you can see, spell card, this one has kind of like a lightning bolt type figure. So quick play spells, so it's pretty much like almost like a response card, like, oh, okay, like you can do that. I don't believe you can activate them from your hand on your turn. Like I said, if you set it on the field and their turn starts, then you can activate it, but you can't activate it the same time it was set. So Eco Boost, when a monster declares an attack, so when you're attacking a monster, target one face-up monster on the field, it gains 1,000 attack until the end of the battle phase. So until the end of the battle phase, your monster's attack will increase by 1,000. Afterwards, it will go back to normal. You have Spell Shattering Arrow. This one destroys all face-up spell cards your opponent controls. For each destroyed spell card, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. So this is actually a really powerful magic card to have because ultimately your opponent will have, if they do, they can have up to 5 cards in their spell and trap card zones. So 5 times 500, that's 2,500 points of damage. If you're playing for 4,000 life points, then it's a good chunk of life points gone. If you're playing with 8,000, then you kind of have a little more to go, but it still inflicts damage and it helps you out. So these are quick play spells. The last spell card that we're going to go over in this video is ritual spells. Ritual spells help bring out the ritual monsters, which, if you don't recall in the last video, I will show you again. Zera the Mant, he is a fiend, but he is also, again, a ritual monster. Ritual monsters have like this cool, kind of like dark blue pattern background, which I like. But again, it can only be summoned through this magic card. So the magic cards that are ritual, as you can see, it's like kind of like a fire symbol. It's a spell card, it's a ritual, so you're pretty much, again, sacrificing. So I guess, you know, in Egypt, you sacrifice stuff into the fire. But anyway, so Zera says, this card is used to ritual Zera the Mant. You must also tribute monsters from your field or your hand, whose total level equals 8 or more. So as the last episode, we were talking about levels. Levels are these stars that are underneath the name of the Yugioh card. 2, 4, 6, 8. So it has 8 stars. So you would need to sacrifice 2 level 4 monsters, or a level 5 and a level 3, or, you know, anything that equals 8 or more. It doesn't have to be exactly 8. It could be 10. It could be 12. It could be 100, which will never happen. But you get my drift. That's how you summon ritual monsters. Once we get into building decks and actually going over how they work on the field, you'll see ritual monsters are the only special summon monsters that are actually placed in your deck. Fusion monsters, and of course later on in the series, XC, Synchro, XCs, I don't do Pendulum, fuck that shit. Same with Link monsters, I don't understand that shit, so I will probably never make a video in the future on those, because I just, after the XCs season, which was actually, you know, kind of good, I enjoyed it. I don't know, in my opinion, Arc 5 with like the whole pendulum monster thing, I mean, the ending was cool, or like at least the last season was cool, where, you know, they're using him and, was it, no, it's not Devil, I want to say Duke Devil. No, I'm watching the Battle City finals on my screen right now. But Arc 5 resolved around pendulum summoning. I do have some pendulum cards, but that's only because I bought the like Yu-Gi-Oh box set thing, and it had you know, his deck revamped, and Yuya's deck, so like all that. So I wonder if I have it on the table here. Hold on. I want to show you how ridiculous this game started to get, because, you know, I mean, everyone wants to try to, you know, recreate. It's kind of like Power Rangers. Power Rangers keeps going and going and going. But Power Rangers has a very, 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 very big fan base, including myself. But after a certain season, it's like, they're kind of starting to fall off. But let's see. I know. Okay, I do have some. Yes, on the other half of this table. Let's see if I could turn this thing without freaking up my thing. As you can see over here, I have like a whole bunch of like other, well, can't really see, but I'll lift it. So as you can see, I have a bunch of different cards and decks and all that other stuff. So, but for right now, we're just going over, you know, basic stuff, because there's a lot to go over. But just a quick glance at what I'm freaking talking about. Hold on, I'll just get them in my hand. I mean, they're kind of cool, but like, it's too much. You know, it's kind of like they took it too far. It's like, all right, now you're just trying too hard. So, you see, these are magic and spell cards, right? Or spell cards, because, again, Magic the Gathering. And you also see on my right that there's some monster cards, right? So let's try to zoom out here a little bit. All right, so we go from that to, hold on, let me get there. So now it's like half monster, half magic, or half monster, half trap, maybe? I don't know. I only watched the series. The series as a show is fine. I thought, okay, it's pretty clever that you could do that. But when you start actually making these cards, like, how the fuck are you supposed to understand all this? Like, unless you watch the anime and really get into this, like, I really don't care for pendulum monsters. I don't. I really don't. I just think it's too much. The fact that, for example, I'm just going to go into this. For example, these are pendulum type monsters, right? Hold on, let me try to refocus. All right, let me see if I have. Okay, so see how it has like the different types on here? I don't know if it's that. I can't remember. All right, so just for example, level 5, right? So if you have Pendulum Monster level 1 and a Pendulum Monster level 9, you can place them in the 2 Pendulum corners and special summon monsters level 2 through 8 from your hand in one turn and get them on the field. Now, for the anime, I understood that made sense because in the end, the main character and the main protagonist both find a way to master pendulum summoning so that once they get all their monsters on the field, they can fusion summon, XC summon, synchro summon, pendulum summon, all that stuff in one turn. And it becomes like this huge grand thing. But I just feel like, for the real TCG, like they shouldn't have done it. Because then they came out with the link cards, which I don't even own one, so I don't even know how they work. I've just seen reviews on people, unraveling cards or talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, and I'm just like, I can't do this. I'm more of a basics guy. I was born 91. I am a 90s child. So the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what I grew up on. And that's kind of why I wanted to base this. A lot of people were like, oh yeah, I remember watching that show. I couldn't really get into the card game because it was kind of complicated. Yeah, when we were young, it was kind of like, but like when the show came out and people were just like summoning whatever monster they drew, it was like, holy crap, like this is a pretty broken game. But, nerd alert, of course, most of you probably know if you're watching this video as a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, Yu-Gi-Oh was not actually a card-based show. It was a show based on dark games and, having just like this dark fascination for always gambling or, playing at high stakes. It was really violent and actually a very dark show. If you look it up, I think it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 or something along those lines. You can look it up. You'll find it. But it's a pretty whacked season if you look at it. They censored a lot of stuff for the US version, especially once they started making it based more on cards. From Bandit Keith, losing to Joey Wheeler and on, whatever it is, Duelist Island, I forget whatever it was. But after he lost to Joey, he jumped over to Pegasus, and it looks like he's just pointing his finger at Pegasus, but really he's actually holding a gun in the manga and in the original version before 4Kids TV censored it. And same thing with like censorship of how the monsters look. Harpy ladies are a little bit more exposed in the bust, whereas in the US version she has kind of more of like a hair corset, chest hair kind of corset-ish. It was weird, but anyway, back to this. So the different spell cards or magic cards, whatever you really want to call them, there's counter, quick play, equip, ritual, normal spells, and field spells. That's all I'm going to go over for this video with magic cards. The next video, we're going to go over traps, maybe get into some of the lore, maybe get into deck building or, trying to get you guys more familiar with it. I wanted to make these videos because, again, like I said, I've always heard people say, oh, I got into it, but it was just too much to kind of take in when I was younger. I didn't really understand it. It's actually very simple. It's all a numbers game. You just have to do a little bit of reading, a little bit more reading than Pokemon, unfortunately. But if you really get into it, like it's really been close to my heart for a long time. And, at this point at my age, like I'm I've had my relationships, I've had my lifestyles. I'm now kind of just an introvert nerd, at this point. I put all this passion into what I enjoy doing, whatever it's a hobby, whether it's trading card games, video games, music, producing anything, just whatever. Like I try to be like not tech savvy, but like I enjoy technology, I enjoy playing games, I enjoy, just being a dork. I'm an Aries, so like I'm very passive by nature. I try to avoid conflict, but I just always loved the competition of it, whether it was even for like the Pokemon games, like I still play them, I still love them, still going through them, whether it's again or, the newer ones. But for Yu-Gi-Oh, I hope in the future that it doesn't get so out of hand anymore because, like, again, Pendulum Monsters, Link Monsters, it's just too much. It was too much, at least for me. And I understand them wanting to have the series go further, but you could have done a lot better than Arc 5 and whatever Yu-Gi-Oh show has the Link monsters in, because I haven't kept up. But again, thank you all for watching this. I hope you guys are learning something. Again, like I said, as we go forward, hopefully these videos start to connect for you and you guys start to realize, oh, it's really not that hard. You pick up a starter deck and, whatever. We can talk, we can chat, I can help you out. I'm very honed in when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of like Kingdom Hearts. Like, I'm a very big Kingdom Hearts buff. I love learning new things. If there's things that I'm missing that you guys are realizing, please let me know. Again, like, comment, subscribe. And as always, may your hearts be your guiding keys. Thanks for joining, and until next time.